Good Friday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather with Sim again. I hope you guys are all having a great day so far. And in today's weather forecast, we are going to be going over what we can expect as we head into December, which we will be watching a few things. One of which is going to be some clipper systems, which look to be rolling on through by the time we get into the weekend. And we'll even have some more chances of those as we get into December. So we will be watching, those small little clippers to roll on through by the time we get into December. And that's not the only thing that we're going to have to watch for. We will also need to be watching for some more major snowstorms that could bring impacts to parts of the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and maybe even into the Northeast. So we will definitely watch it closely. So make sure to stay tuned till the end so that way you guys know what to expect. If you guys would like to stay tuned for more weather updates on Weather with Sim, make sure to go down below and click that subscribe button, as we will continue to keep you guys updated with the latest on Weather with Sim. Also, don't forget to leave a like too as well. Those help out more than you know, and of course they really help out the channel a lot, so make sure to like down below if you haven't already. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. You guys can leave anything down below as long as it's respectful, and I will get to those right after today's weather forecast. But let's first go ahead and talk about some clipper systems that we can expect by the time we get into the weekend. Now, I know we just got done dealing with that Thanksgiving storm that did bring severe weather to the deep south Great Lakes, or not the Great Lakes, but just the deep south, while that snowfall was ongoing across the Great Lakes, parts of the Ohio Valley, and as well as into the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. That's what we experienced on Thanksgiving, but thankfully we won't really have to worry about any severe weather or any snowfall as of right now across those areas. But we definitely will be tracking more by the time we get into the next few weeks. So once again, make sure to stay tuned to the end, so that way you know that stuff. But let's go ahead and talk about this clipper system right here. And as you guys can see, as it comes in from Canada, it will move down to the south and east like this, and that does look to bring that potential for snowfall across this entire area right here. And this is just going to continue to move down to the south and east, and as it does, this is still going to continue to bring snowfall to parts there of southern Illinois, southwest Indiana, western Kentucky, and as well as parts there of northern Kentucky right along the Ohio River. So that is going to be an area to watch closely for by the time we head into your Saturday, with snowfall still continuing even as it gets there close to the Appalachian Mountains, with maybe some snow still lingering across parts there of southwest Indiana and extreme northern Kentucky, with maybe a little bit of freezing rain as some of those pink colors are showing up. So, make sure to be watching this very closely, as this, clipper could definitely bring some heavy snowfall, some isolated freezing rain, and as well as, some rain, especially farther down south you live. So, once again, we'll watch it very closely. Still a little iffy on what exactly it will do. We probably won't see a ton of snowfall with this system, given the fact that it is going to roll through these areas pretty quickly, but I definitely would expect there to be, some chances for at least, maybe around an inch of snowfall in some areas, which we will talk about when we look at the total snowfall at the end of this video. Let's now go ahead and take a look at some storm systems that we'll be tracking by the time we get into December, which the next big storm that we are going to be tracking will be the storm by the time we get into the December 5th time frame, and this is going to be a pretty big system, as it does look to bring that potential for snowfall across the Great Lakes region, with maybe even some isolated thunderstorms and showers down here towards the deep south. So we will watch this storm very closely as we get into December, as this entire area right here will need to be on the lookout lookout for some potential heavy snowfall. Now, I didn't want to show the entirety of the storm system because that is a lot of, information, but this is, mainly just to give you guys a heads up that this is something we could see by the time we get into December, and we are actually only 6 days out, so this is once again going to be something to really watch closely by the time we get into December 5th, which will only be in about 6 days. So like I said, we'll definitely watch it very closely for you. And then the next possible storm system that we might need to watch for is maybe another one by the time we get into the December 7th, which could be right after that storm that we just looked at, with maybe once again some chances for some heavy snowfall across the Great Lakes, parts there of the eastern Ohio Valley, and as well as into the mid-Atlantic. So once again, guys, this could, really be something to really be on the lookout for, as things, could very well start to be ramping up a lot by the time we get into December. And then the biggest storm that we may have to keep an eye on is this one right here, as it does look to bring a lot of snowfall to the plains back down there into the Midwest, and maybe even a little bit of snowfall in parts there of Dixie Alley, especially northern Louisiana, which could maybe see some sleet by the time we get into December 10th, and maybe even parts there of northern Mississippi and Alabama. And that is going to continue to move towards the east, still bringing chances for some, heavy snowfall there across Indiana, back into Illinois, maybe even Wisconsin, Michigan, even into the Ohio, as once again this is going to continue to move farther to the east, and it's going to pack a pretty big punch, guys, as it does continue to the northeast like this. As we could definitely see, pretty similar situation for New England, where we see that snowfall potential mainly across this area, and then maybe on the southern side of that system, maybe some heavy rain and sleet, and that sleet chance will mainly be in between the rain and snow. So we'll definitely watch it very closely once again by the time we get into December. Just keep in mind, guys, that a lot of this is still really far out, so this probably is something that we probably didn't have to take a look at just yet, but this is at least enough to where, like I said, I kind of just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up about this, so make sure to at least be paying attention to this system, as it definitely could bring that potential once again for some snow, some sleet, and maybe even some freezing rain. And that's what we'll have to watch for with the storm systems as we get into December. Another thing that we'll have to keep an eye on is these Arctic blasts, which we do have currently one still ongoing across much of the eastern and northern United States, as we are seeing a ton of this cold air starting to surge on into parts there of the Midwest, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, New England, even up there into the northern plains, northern Rockies. You guys are really seeing those temperatures dip, into the single digits. Some of you guys are even seeing the teens, the 20s. So just a lot of cold air that we'll really have to watch very closely by the time we get into next week, as once again, we are experiencing right now, but the worst of it, especially for you guys far down to the south, looks to be as we get into the beginning of next week, like I said, right around the but the December 2nd time frame. So that will be something to really watch for, as more cold air is gonna look to be surging on in. And then the next potential for an Arctic blast after that one might not be till we get into the December 10th time frame, where once again we'll pretty much be tracking snowfall across a pretty big portion of that area. And it's kind of crazy how we kind of have a pretty big warm up here across the west. So that just is a pretty big and of course strange pattern as we get into December. So once again, we are going to definitely be watching it very closely, as more rounds of very cold air, possibly even some being on the historic side of things, especially if those temperatures once again really do dip way into the teens, 20s, and once again maybe even in some single digits, especially far to the north. So, that is going to be something to watch for with this next massive surge of cold air. Still remains uncertain, but once again, guys, this is definitely a possibility. So we just wanted to give you guys a heads up about this, that this could definitely be something to watch very closely for. Let's now go ahead and look at our total snowfall. This is anywhere from now all the way to December 13th, and as you guys can see, much of the northern United States is likely to see quite a bit of snowfall. The area that we're going to have to keep an eye on the most is this area right here, guys. Look at this. We're talking we're talking days and days and days and days of lake effect snowfall, guys. So even though there may not be a storm system, at least not a big one ongoing over here, we could still, see rounds of lake effect snow showers just continuing to roll on through these areas, and that's why this model wants to show obliterating amounts of maybe up there towards 48 inches of snowfall, especially around the Watertown area, back down there, maybe even to Buffalo, New York, maybe even Erie, Pennsylvania, getting on some of the worst of the snowfall. So once again, New England is sure going to be an area to watch the closest, and even into the mid-Atlantic too, as well, as maybe even some of that snowfall could definitely be a possibility there in Virginia. The next area to watch for would be the Midwest, back down into the Lower Ohio Valley, as once again, we're going to have a lot of clippers to potentially watch for, as those are kind of going to be doing that type of track right there, as they will continue once again to surge on down through the Midwest and into the Lower Ohio Valley. So that is going to be another area to keep an eye on. And then the last area, of course, will be the Great Lakes once again, especially those areas in Minnesota, back into Wisconsin, and as well as Michigan. You guys once again could really be talking about that lake effect snow potential, and that mainly looks to be across the UP back into northern Michigan right there. That once again, this is where we could see those little snow showers develop and just continue to bring some continuous snowfall to those areas. So if you do live anywhere along the lakes, make sure to be prepared for lake effect snowfall every day as we get into December, because once again, these things can still happen even when there's not a massive storm system around. You just have to have a pop-up snow shower, and those warmer waters across the lakes will just continue to feed that small snow shower, making it bigger and bigger and bigger until it kind of looks like a snow squall or even a massive snowstorm. So that's exactly what we are going to be watching for as we get into December, like I said. So it's always good to be prepared for it, as it could like I said, even happen days that we aren't tracking a storm system around the New England area. And then for your total rainfall, if you guys aren't looking to see snowfall, which is mainly these areas very far down south, you guys are still likely to see showers and once again some isolated thunderstorms across a lot of these areas, as anywhere from 1 to 3 inches of rainfall is definitely possible across the deep south. And like I said earlier, when we were looking at that storm system farther out into December, which was around the December 10th time frame, we might have some chances for a little bit of sleet or snow across these areas. But once again, it's mainly going to be that rain that will be watching the closest for these areas far down to the south. So we'll definitely continue to watch it very closely, as the deep south could definitely get a little bit on the storm activity, as huge massive storms once again look to really be rolling on through, as cold air will surge on in once again as we get into early next week, and maybe even around that as we get into December, just bringing chances for snowfall across much of the east, with rainfall likely south of Tennessee. So we'll keep an eye on that closely. But thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy today's weather forecast. If you guys are new here to the YouTube channel, or if you haven't subscribed already, make sure to go down below and click that subscribe button, as we will continue to keep you guys updated with the latest on Weather with Sim. Also, don't forget to leave a thumbs up too as well. Those help out more than you know. And of course, leave any questions, comments, or concerns that you guys have down below. You guys can leave anything down below as long as it's respectful, and I will get to those right after today's weather forecast. And I hope you guys all have a great Black Friday and of course a great weekend, and we will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.